Welcome, my beautiful souls, to Dose of Truth Tarot with me, Terry Ann Nikitas. And we're going to explore this week trusting yourself. So, we're going to look at basically what might block you, what needs to open up, and what we can do about it. So, here are the cards. We're going to set up our little camera so we have our cards. And there we go. You can block me if that's okay with all of you. And we'll pick the first card and see what what actually what actually is going on when it comes to self-trust. So if we look at trusting oneself, we need to trust our intuition. We need to trust that we're capable of doing something about it, that we can make decisions. Yeah, those are the kinds of things I'm kind of focusing on. So let's look at the first one. The heck is blocked? So Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords tells us, let's make this nice and clear for you. I don't know if you could see that well, but this Knight of Swords, um, usually, when you think of the Knight of Swords, he's going out, he's a knight, and he's swinging his sword around. So, what would block us, all of us, is the mind, where the mind goes. And usually, even in healing work, and when I teach tarot, the hardest part for a student is to trust that intuition. We usually go into the head and we wonder if something is right or wrong, and then we wonder, is my gut giving me the right answer if I think about it, and then we become totally blocked. We can't trust. So trusting intuition is a really interesting exercise. It's really just feeling into the first sense that you get, that gut sense of what you get, so that you can use both. Right? We don't want anything really to dominate. In my experience, intuition has always dominated, which means that I would rely on it a lot and then forget to, research something or figure it out so that I could express it. I still struggle with that part, because so often I just get an answer, and I have to say, usually it's correct. It's usually correct, and because it's usually correct, which would be the same for you, it's not some extraordinary feat. It's just that my reliance was there. But then I would forget to kind of, let's look this up. Let's find out, exactly what's going on, rather than just relying on intuition, because then you don't have a discussion or a sense of how you can rationally explain things, right? So when I look at, even while I do this reading, I go, oh, I know what I want to do, but I need to explain it properly. So the Knight of Swords is the mind that can run erratically because we don't trust the intuition. So the mind can block what you need to be doing. What are the next steps in your life? So this is the opposite of what I've described, but it's good to have both sides, right? You need to understand, hey, my mind is useful for something if you're using your thinking function properly. Remember, the thinking function is very different than thoughts. So my thoughts are kind of useless, right? They pop around, they talk about things I forgot to do today or I did do. Maybe that's going to be useful. I could jot it down, but I don't need to have it in my thoughts. There can be thoughts about a subject. There can be lots of, you know, different things, and people often analyze their thoughts, right? And when you analyze your thoughts, you just divide them up into more and more thoughts. Many people have heard me say this over and over again: your thoughts are like a bunch of poop, and then the more you think about each poop, you're dividing it up and creating more poop. That's not thinking. That's just being in your thoughts and kind of analyzing them, but we think that's thinking. That's not thinking. The actual function of thinking is to reason something out, to figure out what your next step is, which is so important for trust, right? So if I'm going to trust myself, I need my mind to cut through. So this is a beautiful card to say, just cut through the dross, just cut through that. You don't need to think about it all the time. Just cut right through it and get to the point. What's the point? Well, what is it? What is your goal? What is it you'd like to achieve? What is it that you'd like to um, have pan out, right? Is it saving money? Is it a job? Is it improving your relationship? Sure, you can have all those goals, and you need to trust your gut and make sure your mind is working appropriately. So the next one is, let's see where this is going to go. Let's see. So here, I've kind of already covered this because I was talking about, the mind getting in the way. So this card usually represents the cruelty of the mind. Now, you could say the mind is going to talk about you and tell you, how terrible you are and how your decisions are so bad and how during your whole life you've made all these mistakes, or you shoulda, woulda, coulda done something, all that kind of stuff. That's involved in the Nine of Swords. It leaves is, if you can see this card properly, you can look it up. There's the person with nine swords laying in them, and they're laying there dead. That's the mind. Remember, the swords is air, and the mind just kind of knocks you out and you can't do anything. That means you can't trust yourself. It means you're trusting the mind. It means you're trusting the thoughts about yourself. Gosh, why would we even bother doing that? They're just thoughts. It's not thinking. Difference, huge difference. It's not thinking, it's just thoughts. So here we've got the Knight. This is where we are. So it could be useful. It could be cutting through things, but it's saying, no, what we're doing is taking the mind, getting all irrational and crazed, and basically, like Don Quixote, we're going off and chasing windmills, right? So, analysis can be wonderful, but on the other side, if I'm analyzing every single thought in my head, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's never ending. It's a Sisyphean task. So, what we need to do, what do we need to do about this? Like, what are some of the things that we can do? Let's see what the cards have to say. Dig, dig, dig. I'm digging, digging, digging. Let's see. Queen of Cups. Well, okay. That's just gorgeous. So this is about self-love. Now that's probably the hardest and the easiest thing to do. It's not like you have to go out and do a million different things. All you need to do is begin from a place of self-love. This is our healthy narcissism. When you think of Narcissus looking into the pond at himself and falling in love with himself, and then he drowns and dies, we know that if it's narcissistic and unhealthily, it's not good. But there is a certain amount of self-love that is, well, it's not an amount. I think that's in error. We need to have the love um, that benevolent, holy, and I mean HOLY, sacred love for the self. That's very different than loving myself, loving my ego. So we differentiate between the egoic self and the self that is the soul that is housed within the right atrium of the heart. Everything else that is manifest here is usually some identity, some misconception. And of course, when people become fully self-realized, we know, oh, okay, fully self-realized is I've seen right through the entire illusion. there are moments in your life you might see through the entire illusion, like that moment where you're looking at a baby, or you're holding a baby and everything disappears and you realize, oh my God, this is the meaning of life, whatever that means to you. It's this intensity of love that we experience, which is so much the Queen of Cups, the motherly, nurturing, feminine, and let's call it the divine feminine in this case, which is evoked from, especially from women. Usually, women experience this in a deep way, and as do men. But I'm not a man, so I don't know exactly how men feel. But I've seen and experienced how they would feel, and I think that's why I'm bringing that up. Is that's where we understand in humans there's a certain component that experiences everything in the same way, even though the manifestation is going to be different. So, um, let's just look at here we're these beings who rely very much on our intellect. We need to rely on all possible mechanisms in the body. Yes, there's the thinking function, there's the heart function, compassion, empathy, and there's the gut brain function. We know the gut brain connection is huge, right? We need those two to be working together. So it can be said that here, this brain, sends all these programs out to the body mind, but the heart is what gives us compassion and empathy. The gut brain is what helps us discern, what helps us know when there's danger in front of us. So these cards are saying, hey, we've usurped the gut brain. It's not even in here. We've relied way more heavily on the head brain, which means we end up with, a big head that's thinking too much about things, and we don't experience actually what's going on in the world. We don't experience what is right here, what is present, thinking of the baby. Then we've got the solution to this is just love. I could say, even from this card, it's not just love of the self, which is important because we're doing self trust today, trusting oneself, but we need to, yes, love ourselves, but that love is going to expand out everywhere because whatever I'm experiencing internally, I'm going to experience in the rest of the world. Now, that's a big piece, right? We can have all kinds of feelings about what's going on in the world, but we must understand that whatever we're perceiving within ourselves, that's how we're going to project onto the world as well. So if we're doing this from a loving place and we have um, less of this mental quagmire of thinking and thoughts and judgments. There are judgments in there. There's I can do this, I can do that, I shouldn't. And that the involvement in all of that is hugely, let's say, disadvantageous to our ability to make a decision, to step in life, to realize, yeah, we're here having this experience, this wonderful experience, but we're we're bogged down by this head. I don't know if you've ever felt your head getting really big and heavy and you can't do things. So this week, just maybe stop thinking. Anytime you have a thought, just tune into love, tune into a tree, tune into the sunshine, tune into a plant. I don't know if you could see it here, but I've put back there is a gardenia. So maybe we're going to see some beautiful gardenias. I tried to leave it outside, but the squirrels decided to eat all the buds. And I went, well, I'm not going to have any gardenias if they eat all the buds. So I brought my gardenia in and we'll see what kind of fruit blossoms. And at the same time, we could see what kind of fruit blossoms for us when it comes to self trust. So, self trust or trusting oneself isn't just, oh, I got to trust everything. No, it's really, confidence to kind of push away those negative thoughts, having that confidence, right? Oh, I trust myself to say, for this moment, I heard a thought, but I could just go look at a tree instead. I can feel that connection to the divine, and that will open up the heart so that we have love. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have, please share, comment, let me know what your experience is this week, and we'll see you all next week. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell. Maybe we'll have a bigger channel so we can have a lot more fun. Maybe I could do things daily if we could get this monetized. Wouldn't that be fun? So please help me out. All you have to do is like, you could share, you could subscribe, click the bell, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, everyone. Have a great week and be well. Bye.